friend of mine visited Lacock Abbey last October. She posted a photo on Instagram, just a typical tourist shot of the medieval cloisters. But when she looked at it later that night, there was something in the background she hadn't noticed before. A figure in dark robes, standing perfectly still in the shadowed archway. She was alone when she took that picture, or at least she thought she was. Lacock Abbey sits in the heart of Wiltshire, England, about 100 miles west of London. The honey-colored stone walls have stood for nearly 800 years, watching generations come and go. Founded in 1232 by Ella, Countess of Salisbury, it served as an Augustinian nunnery for over 3 centuries. The cloisters still echo with footsteps. The question is, whose footsteps are they? After Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries in 1539, the Sherrington family bought the property and converted it into a manor house. They kept the medieval structures intact: the cloisters, the chapter house, the warming room where monks once gathered around the only fire permitted in the entire abbey. In religious ceremonies in nearly 500 years. Mark Patterson worked as a night security guard at the Abbey for 3 years. He quit in 2019. When asked why, he hesitates before answering. On a cold February night, around 2:30 in the morning, he was doing his usual rounds through the cloisters. The motion sensors had triggered in the south gallery, which wasn't unusual. Old buildings settle. Animals sometimes find their way in. But when he arrived, his flashlight caught something moving. A figure stood at the far end of the gallery, facing away from him. The robe was unmistakable, dark brown or black, falling to the floor in heavy folds. Mark called out, thinking someone had broken in for an after-hours visit. The figure didn't respond. It simply glided. That's the word he uses. Glided into the adjacent corridor. Mark followed, radioing for backup. But when he rounded the corner, the hallway was empty. He checked every door, all locked from the inside. The security footage from that night shows Mark entering the gallery alone. His flashlight sweeps across empty stone. He stops, stares at something the camera doesn't capture. Then he runs toward the corridor. The timestamp reads 2:33 a.m. But here's what makes it stranger. The temperature sensors recorded a sudden drop of 15 degrees in that exact location, at that exact moment. No explanation was ever found. Visitors report similar experiences with unsettling frequency. A family from Manchester visited in the summer of 2021. Their daughter, 12 years old, refused to enter the chapter house. She said there were people in there, praying. Her parents saw nothing, but their daughter described the scene in detail. 7 or 8 figures kneeling in a circle, heads bowed, hands clasped. She could hear them, she insisted. Low voices speaking Latin. The chapter house was where the monastic community gathered daily for readings and discussions. It's an octagonal room with stone benches built into the walls. The acoustics are remarkable. A whisper in one corner carries clearly to the opposite side. Some say this architectural feature explains the phantom chanting. Sound from outside distorts as it enters the space. But that doesn't explain what people see. Photographers love Lacock Abbey. The National Trust maintains the property, and it's been used as a filming location for period dramas and even Harry Potter movies. Professional photographers working on shoots have captured unexplained anomalies, shadowy shapes in windows of locked rooms, figures appearing in reflections that shouldn't exist. Most dismiss these as tricks of light or camera glitches, but the patterns are consistent. Sarah Chen, a wedding photographer, was shooting at the Abbey in September 2022. The wedding party was posed in the courtyard for group photos. When she reviewed the images later, one photo showed something unexpected. Behind the happy couple, through the cloister archway, a hooded figure stood watching. Sarah is certain no one was there during the shoot. She checked her other frames from that sequence. The figure appears in only one image, standing perfectly still, watching. The warming room generates the most reports. This was the only heated space in the original monastery, where monks could briefly escape the brutal cold. Now, it's a small museum room displaying artifacts from the Abbey's history. Visitors describe an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some feel a presence standing close behind them. Others report seeing peripheral movement, shapes that vanish when directly observed. A paranormal investigation team spent 3 nights at Lacock Abbey in March 2023. They recorded hours of footage and audio. Most of it showed exactly what you'd expect. An old, empty building at night. But on the second night, their equipment malfunctioned simultaneously in the south cloister. Cameras, audio recorders, even their flashlights died at once. In the darkness, they heard it. Rhythmic chanting, male voices, coming from multiple directions at once. When their equipment suddenly restored itself 4 minutes later, the chanting stopped. The audio recording captured only static during those 4 minutes. But the team members all heard the same thing. They all described the same Latin phrases, the same rhythmic cadence. None of them had studied Latin. None could explain what they'd heard. The National Trust staff members who work at Lacock daily have their own stories, though most are reluctant to share them publicly. They'll mention strange experiences quietly, almost apologetically, keys going missing and reappearing in impossible locations, doors they locked the previous night found standing open at dawn, the persistent feeling that someone is walking the corridors after closing time. One staff member, who asked not to be named, described arriving early one morning to prepare for opening. It was barely light outside, around 6:15 a.m. in November. As she approached the cloister entrance, she saw them, 3 figures in dark robes, walking slowly through the covered walkway. She froze, watching. They moved in single file, heads bowed, hands hidden in their sleeves. Then they turned a corner and were gone. She found no footprints in the morning dew, no sign anyone had been there. Skeptics offer rational explanations. Shadows and light create illusions in medieval architecture. The human mind sees patterns where none exist. Old buildings generate strange sounds as materials expand and contract. Electromagnetic fields from old wiring cause feelings of unease. These explanations satisfy some people, but they don't explain the consistency of the reports, the specific details that match across decades of testimony. The phantom monks of Lacock Abbey follow predictable patterns. They appear most often in the cloisters and chapter house. They're seen during early morning hours or late at night. They never speak directly to witnesses. They simply appear, move through the space as if following ancient routines, then vanish. Are they residual hauntings, echoes of devotion so strong they imprinted on the stones? Or are they something else entirely? My friend never went back to Lacock Abbey. She deleted that Instagram photo, but she can't delete the memory. That figure in the archway, perfectly still, watching her through centuries. She wonders sometimes if the monks are trapped there, endlessly walking their old paths. Or maybe they choose to stay, maintaining their vigil over a sacred space that's no longer theirs. The Abbey welcomes thousands of visitors each year. Most see nothing unusual. They admire the architecture, learn the history, take their photos, and leave. But some see more. Some catch glimpses of Lacock's other residents, the ones who have been there longest, the ones who never left. Next time you visit a historic building, pay attention to the shadows. Notice the cold spots, the strange sounds, the feeling of being watched. Because sometimes the past doesn't stay buried. Sometimes it walks right past you, dressed in robes, following routines established 800 years ago. And if you're very unlucky, or very lucky depending on your perspective, you might see them too. The phantom monks of Lacock Abbey, still keeping their eternal watch, still praying in their chapter house, still walking their cloisters, long after the bells have fallen silent